Hi guys, it's Gabby, and it is time for another characterization video. Yeah, this is now going to be a ongoing thing, I guess. I don't know, it is something. We're doing one. Also, a lot of people wanted us to do one, and yes, I said us, because if people haven't checked out the characterization of Son Goku video, and also the characterization of Vegeta video, I do this with a guest. Everyone, say hello to Hail Zeon.
And I, Hail Zeon, will say hello to them. Hello.
So yeah, obviously, we've already talked about Son Goku, we've already talked about Vegeta, there's been a lot of other requests, but I think the one that basically a lot of people have asked to get us to do is Gohan. Because he's basically, next to Goku and Vegeta, he's probably one of the most significant characters in Dragon Ball Z, at least. I've got to admit, Gohan's characterization is probably, Gohan's character is probably one of the ones where his characterization is just such a, it is just varies wildly depending on who you talk to. We talked about Goku and Vegeta before, and, we do say that sometimes they have, inconsistencies and stuff like that, but at least everyone generally agrees what Goku and Vegeta's characters are supposed to be. No one can agree what Gohan's character is supposed to be.
Yeah, everyone has, their own interpretation of what Gohan is supposed to be as a character, to the point to where people get into straight-up arguments over this. He's a fighter, he's a scholar, Chi-Chi wanted him to be a scholar, she forced him into it, no, he wanted that, and this is the life he chose, and people just bicker and argue about just what is the proper interpretation of Gohan as a character.
It is really interesting, honestly, to think about it. I don't think there's really that many characters, especially not in a simple series like this, where literally no one can agree what he is.
There are definitely camps that agree. There's different, Gohan camps. I feel like there's maybe, 2 or 3. And then, of course, the majority of Gohan fans are really just people who like that, those 3 to 5 episodes of the Cell games, where he just completely dominates and wrecks shit on everyone. That's their favorite version of Gohan.
There are basically, very specific kinds of Gohan fans. There is the Super Saiyan 2 teen, not actually a teen Gohan fans. And then there are, people who like this version and this version. There is a thing where people literally say, what is your favorite version of Gohan? Even though it is the same character from start to finish. I just find that so interesting.
Yeah, that is really so weird because it's not like you're choosing with Trunks. What do you like, present Trunks or future Trunks? It's no, there's one technically there is a future Gohan, but when people talk about Gohan, they're talking about the prime time, the main timeline Gohan. And people just always want to separate them into the kid Gohan and the not actually teen Gohan and adult but actually teen Gohan and then GT Gohan and Super Gohan. Everyone wants to compartmentalize Gohan as a character.
Which is why I think honestly doing a video like this is honestly kind of necessary. Actually unpacking Gohan's character, because yes, he has very wildly different interpretations, and sometimes I feel like that might have been partially Toriyama and Toei's faults for not being exactly clear enough, and sometimes it feels like a byproduct of just changing the story at the last minute, kind of just changing his character. So honestly, on the one hand he changes a lot, but on the other hand you could say he's kind of pretty consistent as well. So I feel like we just need to unpack this, just from the very start. And I think what better way to do that from his very first introduction, episode 1 of Dragon Ball Z, the second chapter of eventually the Z portion of the manga.
The first episode of Z spends, honestly, a surprising amount of time on Gohan. Over half that episode is just Gohan dicking around in the woods, really just kind of solidifying, no, this kid is not Goku. He is a little, yes, he is the son of Goku, but he is the complete polar opposite of Goku in every way. Because Dragon Ball begins with Goku out in the woods, having this, grand little adventure, fighting, animals and, fishing, and just really just being, really adaptive to his environments. Where Gohan is shown to be a complete coward, he's completely incompetent dealing with, the wildlife, and he's not strong enough to fight them off, and he is, the complete opposite of, Kid Goku in, every facet.
Which I honestly really appreciate. I mean, it's sort of a common anime trope as well, the idea that, when the main character has a son, the son is often, a complete carbon clone of the father. Whereas
what
with
about
Gohan,
Boruto?
Yeah, I am thinking a little bit about Naruto. But Naruto just generally does that with like all characters all the time, not just the protagonist. Which I think it did personally like make me appreciate Gohan like his introduction so much more, because yeah, like Toriyama could have totally just been like, okay, this is Goku's son. He is just like Goku, but he is younger and I guess sort of cuter, and Matsuko Nozawa gets to play a young Goku voice again. But no, they went the complete opposite direction, and that like, yeah, Gohan is like the carbon copy of Goku, to the point that when Gohan is introduced to like everyone else, everyone's kind of surprised that this is Goku's kid in the first place. You know, it's like when Goku is very like improper and kind of, you know, he has this very sort of like rough form of speech, and whereas Gohan is like he's very polite. He's actually one of the politest characters in the entire cast.
Yeah, yeah, like very formal speaking, very polite, very soft spoken. Just yeah, the complete opposite of what Goku was as a child and how Goku is as an adult.
And yeah, of course, the obvious other big thing is that yes, Goku was, well, first of all, he was a really strong kid, and he's a very strong adult. Whereas Gohan, when we're introduced, he doesn't really seem to have much capability for fighting at all. He sits around, he just walks a bit, doesn't really know how to fight. He gets kidnapped by his evil uncle and doesn't really even hold up much of a fight. And he just gets locked into that space pod without even really like trying to get away.
Yeah, like we've been pointing out, just complete polar opposite, but then he gets locked in the space pod, and then we start seeing things with Gohan. Like Goku first referenced it, like, yeah, like he's got power to him, it's just, you know, Chi-Chi doesn't let me train him, and like he doesn't know how to use that power. And like, you know, Goku references this like as early as like, I think like chapter 2 of Z, of the Z portion. Then, like, when he's in the pod, like, you know, Raditz Scouter goes off, and it's, like, his power level is, like, over 700, and he's just like, no, it's just broken. And then when Goku with his cracked ribs is getting crushed, Gohan just has his very first rage boost busting out of the pod, and just takes it to Raditz.
It's one of the biggest, like, what the fuck moments of the series. It's just like, oh, Goku is just getting beaten up, and suddenly Goku's 4-year-old son... He's 4. His 4-year-old son bursts through the space pod. Raditz's Scouter reveals his power level is like in the 1300 range, which is stronger than Goku, a fully trained adult. And he just like headbutts Raditz and like cracks his armor, to the point that, you know, when Nappa and Vegeta later on actually like look over that, and they're actually kind of surprised just how much damage that one attack did. And it's like, he was 4, and it's really, like, you don't expect it, and honestly, it's probably one of the most absurd things in the series, but I think it works.
Yeah, it definitely, I would definitely say, like, it's a great, like tonal shift for that part, like, of that story, and just, yeah, it definitely did work. It was a great moment for Gohan's character, really kind of solidifies him with, like, the fans, I think, where it just goes like, oh, he's gonna be this little wimpy kid, and then he just has this huge rage out moment, but then, like, as soon as that's over, he's back to being the wimpy kid. He doesn't remember anything, and then that leads into Piccolo being like, yeah, no, this kid has potential. We're gonna need him to fight these aliens in, like, a year. And then we just get to see this whole developmental arc for Gohan if you watch Z, and, you know, besides, because, like, the manga just completely glosses over his development, but the anime spends a bit more time on it. We actually get to see him go from wimpy kid to kind of, like, survivalist warrior.
The kind of kid Gohan filler stuff is probably some of the best, like, filler stuff that Toei ever did. Because obviously, it's something, I'm not going to say it's necessarily lacking, because once we get to the Saiyan fight, like, Gohan does kind of get a lot of that kind of sort of overdue character development, but, like, it just kind of solidified, like, why people enjoyed Gohan's character. Like, this idea that, you know, he's, like, this 4-year-old, 5-year-old kid, and he, like... He doesn't necessarily, like, know, he's not, like, that experienced, doesn't really know what he's doing and everything like that, but then it's like, he knows, and Piccolo knows that he's got way more power than he thinks he does, and he basically just kind of almost wants to, I mean, he wants to save the world and save everyone from the Saiyans, and he needs to get stronger to do that, and he wants to, like, prove himself. And I think one of the best moments, I think, that the filler did in particular was, like, the one moment where Gohan, like, finds his way back home, And it's like he could go to see his mother and go back home and live a normal life and never have to worry about this ever again. But then, like, he sees Piccolo and then he realizes that, like, he has to keep fighting. He's got to keep training because there are things that are more important.
That episode brought so many feels. That was... just because, like, you see him, he's, like, in the woods, and he's just, like... And he turns around, he runs back, and Piccolo's like, what is your mission? It's like, to defeat the Saiyans, and it's a good moment. It's such a great moment for Gohan. Because, like, he really just learns to, like, kind of grow up in that moment that, like, there's something bigger and more important than him, and he has to put his own personal desires aside for the greater good, and just, it was such a great moment for his character.
Especially because, like, a very, very significant moment in his character that everyone seems to just collectively forget about when it's not convenient to them. But basically, like, the moment after Piccolo, like, when Piccolo was talking to Gohan and telling him that he needs to go and fight and train for these Saiyans, and Gohan says, but I don't want to be a fighter, I want to be a great scholar. And Piccolo says, okay, that's great, you can do that, you can become a scholar after you beat these Saiyans, because if you don't, they're going to destroy everything, and how are you going to be a scholar if everything is destroyed?
Yeah. And of course, like, as you said, a lot of people like to ignore that about Gohan, that, like, Gohan outright states, even back then, he just wants to be a scholar. He wants to study and learn things, and he wants to just kind of live this peaceful, non-fighter's life, and he kind of just, because of the natural power he was born with, he gets thrust into the world of being a fighter, into being, like, the savior of humanity. I think this is what, like, starts putting Gohan's character at odds with other people, is that, like, because Gohan is thrown into all these situations, and sometimes he puts himself in these situations because of, like, he learns to take responsibility, he has the power, he has the responsibility, and it kind of puts his character at odds with people, when they're like, oh yeah, like, Gohan just really wants to be a badass, but, like, he's being held back. It's like, no, like, there is this other part of Gohan that actively wants to just be a scholar, to be a well-rounded, learned person, and he only fights as a necessity.
The series never ever said anything like this, and honestly, this is probably more my own headcanon than anything, but, like, I always thought, part of the reason as to why, like, Gohan in particular is the one with the ridiculous amount of power, it's also because, like, he's the only character who's, like, forced into these fights but also doesn't want to fight in the first place. It's like, if you put all of the cast together and you think, okay, so if you're going to give one character the crazy hidden power, who are you going to give it to? Giving it to, like, the mild-mannered boy who wants to be a scholar, it's the thing that you wouldn't expect to happen. But I think that's sort of, like, how it works. It's like you could totally have a character who has hidden power and then use it terribly and just be like, oh, Gohan can just get power-ups now whenever anything happens ever because, hey, he's got hidden power. But
what about Bleach?
The fact is, with Gohan's character, the whole point is, like, even if he has a ridiculous amount of power, like, his personality actively works against it. He doesn't want to fight. He doesn't really want to get stronger unless he knows, like, people are in danger. So it basically stops him from just using that hidden power to just get ass pulls whenever he feels like it.
And thing is, though, like, even whenever he steps into the world of being a fighter, like, I think something that people seem to forget about Gohan also is that, like, during the fight against the Saiyans, he's still not, like, like, some sort of brave, badass warrior. Like, when Piccolo and Kuririn, like, strategize on how to deal with Nappa, Gohan freezes and runs because he just can't deal with, like, the idea of actually being locked in mortal combat with someone literally, like, someone who is actually dangerous. And he bolts because he just wasn't ready for that.
Because also, I think we have to also know that, I mean, he's 5. He is 5. Like, yeah. I know that's, like, I know this is not a real-life show, but, for a 5-year-old to have to deal with something like that, heck, Gohan is surprisingly well-adjusted, but that doesn't mean he's perfect. It doesn't mean he can just, like, deal with everything being, like, shoved into this situation. Before, all he'd done was, like, know how to kill dinosaurs and fight with Piccolo, but having to go to a life-and-death situation against this alien who could easily kill him. Like, yeah. It is totally understandable. It's almost, like, a bit surprisingly realistic, the idea that someone's actually going to, like, run away and not want to fight. Honestly, Gohan's character sometimes just feels like a big stretch of just realism when everyone else is just crazy martial arts guys. Gohan is like the closest you get to like an ordinary person, which I think is part of like the reason why a lot of people really liked his character, especially when they were younger.
Yeah, like Gohan is definitely there, I think, to appeal to like the kid audience, because Goku was no longer a kid, and they needed a new kid character. And here, like, Toriyama not only introduces a new kid character to be the eye level for the audience, but one that's actually surprisingly, as you pointed out, more grounded in reality in terms of, like, how he deals with situations and his personality. He has a mother that's kind of overbearing and wants him to study, and, very much kind of grounded in that Japanese society of, you need to study, you need to educate yourself, blah, 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 Japanese business world. But then, like, he's also this character in this shonen action series. So, it's just like, so you need to train and you need to become more powerful. But, he deals with a lot of situations like a kid would. He's scared, he doesn't want to do it, he just kind of wants to, like, live, like, his little normal life. Then when he learns, like, to have responsibility to go along with his power, he accepts it, but he still isn't ready, and, like, he runs from battle, but then, like, he feels really guilty about it, especially when that eventually leads to Piccolo's death. And that leads to him just taking the fight to the person he ran from earlier. And Gohan goes through, like, a really great arc just in this one arc alone.
Gohan's arc in, like, the Saiyan fight itself is so good. Like, okay, maybe this is just me going to freaking fangirl territory, but it's so good. It's like, he comes into this unprepared, and he doesn't know what he's doing, and he's scared. He is terrified that Nappa is going to kill him. Like, I remember, like, Lance, Mr. Fusion did a whole, like, this really nice idea that, like, Gohan doesn't want to fight Nappa because if the moment he gets a hit on him, he becomes a target. Like, Nappa immediately realizes that the kid is going to be a threat, so he should go and take out the kid. If he just sort of sits around and sort of just stays in the adult's wing, then maybe he could be, like, spared. Then eventually he, like, basically through everyone dying and Gohan realizing that responsibility, he does eventually realize, okay, I need to fight because I have to. And then he does, and he does it. I mean, he doesn't do much against Nappa, but, I mean, his big rage boost, Masenko, does at least kind of shocks everyone at least a little bit.
Also, it was a cool moment for, like, just storytelling-wise, because Gohan just had his second big rage freak-out moment, like, in a battle sequence. And unlike last time, like, this one was bigger and more grandiose, but it kind of does jack shit. And, like, Gohan really learns, like, his place in, like, the power scale in that moment.
Gohan's character could have been written so much poorly if you just always made his rage boost be, like, the deciding factor. But a lot of the time, yeah, when he gets, like, some kind of rage power-up, it does absolutely nothing. Like, after that, it's like, I think, like, what the character arc was going there, like, during the fight with the Saiyans, I think it's Gohan basically getting the will to fight. To fight in a situation where he could die and could get hurt. And he learns not to run away from these situations, even if he might get hurt. Like, the point is, after Piccolo's death and after Goku arrives, like, when Goku arrives, Gohan basically just follows his orders and just leaves and waits for Goku to fight Vegeta on his own. But then the moment Vegeta turns to Zaru, when they start sensing his power, Gohan just, like, he realizes that he's like, my dad's in danger, I'm going to go and help him, even if this guy is way too powerful. Like, Krillin is basically saying, no, this is a bad idea, but, like, Gohan's like, no, I'm going to help my dad. And he does it. And he does actually really help fend off Vegeta while everyone else tries to think of ways to basically beat him.
And of course, Gohan, coming back to the fight is definitely a big turning point in the story. Though I would say, like, after he returns, like, it's definitely a turning point for his character because, like, once again, he is, like, he's trying to take responsibility. He's trying to, help out in any way that he can, even though it doesn't really, like, do much until he becomes an Uzaru as well. But then at that point, that really has nothing to do with his character development. It's just something that happened to him, and he's just a complete rage monster at that point.
Technically, Gohan got the final hit on Vegeta. Everyone sort of forgets about it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, like, like, Gohan is the reason that Vegeta gets stopped and is defeated. But, like, you know, I think the reason people tend to forget about that is that in fact that it wasn't like, oh, Gohan intentionally launched some sort of epic attack or maybe intentionally turned himself into an Uzaru. Like, it was Goku who was just like, look at the like the power ball in the sky, look at the glowy thing, and like, you know, Goku was the active agent in that transformation and just kind of hoped for the best.
And it did work out. It's not really a actual turning point, but yeah, for Gohan's character, it's just something that he just conveniently was able to do with that moment in time, even if it's just basically because of his biology and also his tail just conveniently growing back at that very moment.
Yeah, that was a bit of a story contrivance, but, you know, honestly, the rest of that arc is so goddamn great, I let that stuff slide.
Then I think after that, you know, after Vegeta and Nappa are defeated, I think the next really, really big significant moment to his character, I think a lot of people don't really remember and think about is that when everyone is talking about going to Namek and to go and revive everyone with the Namekian Dragon Balls. And then Gohan says that he wants to go because he wants to, like, personally go and get the Dragon Balls to revive Piccolo. I'm guessing, you know, he felt some kind of, like, responsibility for that, like, personal responsibility, so he wants to do it, he wants to, like, personally be responsible for pretty much undoing that mistake. And then Chi-Chi tells him, Chi-Chi, like, is completely against it. She's like, no, you need to go back to studying, you've wasted all this time that you haven't been in school, and Gohan just tells her to shut up.
Yeah, that is just, oh my gosh, okay. So yeah, like, unlike a lot of people, I definitely remember that moment, and it is another really good Gohan moment, because, you know, now not only is Gohan taking responsibility, and, you know, he's being an active agent in the story, but now he is doing something that he's never done before, which is directly opposing his mother in this point. For a lot of people who want to say, like, oh, Chi-Chi forces Gohan to do all this other stuff, it's like, no, when Gohan wants to do something, he has the balls to stand up to his mother and do what he thinks is right. To do what he actually wants. He puts his foot down in this moment. It's like, hey, you know, I'm gonna go to Namek. Like, you know, you guys, like, he doesn't even give, like, his parents a say in this matter. It's like, I'm gonna go on this big grand space adventure and bring everyone back. And, it's a good character moment for him. It really is. It was fantastic.
Like once again, it's basically Gohan's sense of, like, personal responsibility basically trumping, like, his own desires. Like, even if he personally would be like, it'd be more comfortable for him to go back at home and remain a scholar, he has this responsibility that he wants to bring everyone back to life, and that is what is making him go to Namek, even if that might be, like, really out of the way for him.
Yeah, and I think, like, you know, because we keep going back to that word, responsible, you know, like, because that really does sum up Gohan's character. Like he is just the most responsible character in this entire franchise. Yeah, like, I mean, because, like, that's a very consistent thing about his character. Like, every time he gets involved in the fight, it's not because he has this battle-hardened lust or anything. It's because he has the power to help, and he feels responsible, like, you know, in some way, shape, or form. Like, you know, like, he has this power, he needs to use it responsibly, he needs to help his friends and help the world. And in this case, like, you know, even though he's not even planning to go on, like, into a fight, it's just, you know, because he didn't use his power effectively in the last big fight they just had, he wants to now go into space and go on this adventure to find the Namekian Dragon Balls to wish everyone back to make up for his mistakes.
And that basically also pretty much goes and explains a lot of Gohan's character on Namek as well. Like, when Frieza and all of the Frieza soldiers are basically just destroying that Namekian village, when they're about to kill Dende, Gohan just can't handle that, and he just flies in there and, like, kicks Dodoria in the face and just grabs Dende and runs.
Yeah, because I wonder if that really does tie back to, like, Gohan, like, the events of the Saiyan arc, where, like, he just kind of stood back and watched everyone die because he was being too much of a coward. And here it's a very similar situation. It is, you know, people about to be killed against people that he is wholly unprepared to deal with. Like, he can't really fight on their level, but just in a moment, like, you know, he just, you know, does what he thinks is the right thing, and, you know, once again, takes that responsibility, and just jumps in, saves Dende, and just, you know, bolts out of there, just so he could try to do the right thing, to do the good thing.
That's basically a lot of Gohan on Namek. On the one hand, he kind of just sort of follows everyone else's orders. Like Krillin says, oh, Gohan, you're gonna have to go here, get this Dragon Ball, get your potential unlocked. He does it. But at the same time, he doesn't really have as much agency. But on the other hand, it's very clear why he's doing it. He's doing it because he thinks it's the right thing to do. Because he knows the Frieza guys are evil, and he knows that they're using the Dragon Balls for a good reason. So basically, that gets him involved in all of the fights in that arc.
But one place I would say he was definitely, an active agent in was going on his own to go retrieve a Dragon Ball when he knew that Vegeta was out there in the open, so were the Frieza soldiers, and that he could get caught at any moment, and actually kind of does.
Oh, that moment where he is just with Vegeta, and then the Dragon Ball is right there. That's I think that's one of my favorite moments of that arc. It's just
it's such a
just
tense
so
moment.
Close.
Because, all Vegeta has to do is just look behind him. If Vegeta just got a little bit more curious, if Vegeta wasn't so confident in that moment that he had just won the entire arc, Gohan would have been dead, that Dragon Ball would have been stolen. I mean, Vegeta wouldn't have been able to make his wish because he couldn't speak Namekian, but, he would have, been, the top player in the game at that moment. And just, oh god, just, the little mind game bullshit game he plays with Vegeta to get Vegeta to just go away and leave him alone, and this
I mean he gets kneed in the stomach for it, but
he does. But honestly, and even that he still considers a win. He gets up, he's smiling, it's yeah, I did it. He grabs the Dragon Ball and he takes it back to Bulma. And then as soon as he gets there, he's just okay, I just left Vegeta from stealing his Dragon Ball. We need to get the fuck out of here now. Now.
But although I think I got to that point, most of the time he's mostly just doing what other people tell him to do. Although he does get his potential unlocked once. I think that's something to note later on. Yeah,
he gets his potential unlocked, and he fights Recoome and gets his neck snapped.
Gohan against Recoome is honestly one of those other big moments for his character. It definitely shows the contrast between him against Nappa and him against Recoome. In Nappa he's cowering away and stuff, but in Recoome he's not just standing up and fight, but he is continuing to fight despite hopeless odds. He's just beaten and he can't win and he knows it, but he's not going to give up, and he's just I am the son of Son Goku and you can't beat me kind of thing.
Yeah.
Even if he does get his neck broken.
Yeah, honestly, you are right about that, because he does have that whole he keeps getting beaten down, he gets up, he gets beaten down, he goes in, he saves Vegeta from Rakoome's eraser gun, and just he is definitely by this point in the story, he is probably the most active he's been in the story since he originally decided to go to Namek and he saves Dende. This is where he's really becoming his own character, making his own decisions, and really just kind of developing as a character, and that's the thing I really love about Gohan, is that he does develop throughout the series. It's just he develops in these little small moments. And I feel those moments really kind of can get overlooked. Maybe some people might view Gohan either as, oh yeah, Gohan was a total wimp and then went to a total badass, and forget all of his development that he had, or they think maybe he was a total wimp up until maybe the Cell games, and then he was a total badass. They don't really look at Gohan's complete character arc and just the little moments that make him who he is, and just really to show what he's really made of as a character.
Gohan's always been a badass. I don't think that's just a Cell Games thing. For a 5-year-old to do the stuff that he does and do it completely willingly, not because someone is forcing him to, that takes a lot of balls.
Yeah, no kidding. Because I'll tell you right now, at 5 years old, if I scrape my knee, I fucking cried like a little girl. 5-year-old me definitely couldn't be yeah, I'm gonna go fuck up an adult. Mm-mm.
I mean, 4-year-old pre-Raditz Gohan would have been like that, which I think is interesting. I do like that. It's he starts off almost unbearably realistic, and even though he gets the will to fight and everything, it's not he immediately just becomes amazing badass guy who always wins. He still is growing up, kind of, which also kind of leads into the whole character development sort of idea of not only him growing up, but him also growing into his own power, that potential that he clearly has. They mention it also a few times in even the Frieza fight, where Vegeta is oh yeah, the Earthling's power is constantly rising, and the young one has a power that I don't think even he knows he knows how much it is.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, the Frieza fight, he's there, but he doesn't really get much development. Although, honestly, the biggest thing is probably that he's, like, the only character who is around to witness the ascension of Goku into the Super Saiyan, like, firsthand, besides Frieza.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a very conscious choice to leave him there as a spectator and just, like, actually seeing that. Because it's honestly a very powerful moment, especially for Gohan, where he suddenly sees his dad become something that's not his dad, really. Where he's just, like, yelling at him and telling him to get out of there because he's going to, like, lose control of himself.
Which is such a weird moment with Goku because he kind of doesn't lose control of stuff. And he's actually probably the most lenient he's ever been on a villain up until that point. But, you know, whatever.
That's another story.
Right? But yeah, so, yeah, like, as you're saying, like, you know, he's definitely just a spectator in this moment. He's not really an active agent. The closest he comes to being an active agent is in a filler scene in the anime where he flies back because he thinks Goku had died. And, like, he fights Final Form Frieza for, like, a little bit and then fucks off back to the ship. And that's about it.
Like, his character arc, on Namek, it didn't really sort of go forward. It was more just like we got to see firsthand, like, what his character is like now, like the benefits of everything he learned in the fight against Nappa and Vegeta. Like, now we've seen what he's like, and that's basically the character he is and what he gets the entire series, even up until Super nowadays.
Right. So I would say, like, you know, we go from there. I would say, you know, artificial human arc. Once again, it's this other big moment where he goes like, you know, I want to train, I want to fight too, I want to, you know, help everyone out and be a, you know, help them fight these, you know, evil artificial humans and, you know, save the future. And, you know, much to Chi-Chi's chagrin, you know, he says he wants to train, so he does, and then he goes to fight the artificial humans, and can you really say he does a whole lot up until he starts training for the Cell games?
Not really. Like, he kind of, there's one point when Piccolo's in danger and he saves him, but that's about it.
Yeah, like, yeah, he does the whole telepathic, Gohan, help me, and he goes and flies. But yeah, like, I would say, like, pretty much, yeah, he's just kind of there, you know, I mean, he's not like, you know, like a Yamcha or anything, he's not getting, like, completely schooled, but he's really not contributing much to the story at all at that point until Goku is just like, come on, son, let's go into the Room of Spirit and Time, and we're gonna do some training. And even then, like, we don't even know that his character's about to have a huge moment of development until it actually happens.
I don't know how much of that was Toriyama, like, actually wanting it to be a kind of a surprise, inverted commas. Like, you know, if he had spent too much time foreshadowing Gohan was going to get a whole bunch of, like, really significant character moments, then everyone would be able to guess it by the time the Cell games happened. Because honestly, I think the Gohan Cell thing, I think part of the reason was why it kind of appeals is honestly it's surprise factor, and you honestly don't really expect it coming.
You really don't, no. It's just one of those, like, wait, what do you mean Gohan? Because, like, I feel like there are tiny little hints, and honestly, I'm not even sure if those hints are even in the manga. I don't know if that's just, like, an anime thing.
There are hints, like, but basically the first big hint is basically when Goku and Gohan start training, Goku says, you know, I want to surpass the Super Saiyan barrier, I want to be stronger than everyone, but I want you, Gohan, to be even stronger than me. Gohan's like, wait, really? Well, how? And he's like, I'm sure you can do it. And, like, obviously, I feel like that was the moment where it was like, there was more to Gohan in this arc than just someone passively sitting around and not really fighting because he's not strong enough. There was clearly something there, and it was all pretty much leading up until the Cell games, especially, like, basically from the moment Gohan turns Super Saiyan, it's very much leading up to his moment in the Cell games, and that is the moment that everyone talks about. Literally everyone, for very different reasons.
So, as badass and awesome and great as that moment is, god damn it, it really kind of ruins Gohan in terms of, like, how the fandom perceives him. Because, Jesus Christ, like, all anyone ever wants to talk about is that moment where he's tearing through the Cell Juniors and, like, you know, Super Saiyan 2 Gohan and just, you know, how badass he is. And it's just like, yeah, he's a badass, but it's just, like, there's so much more to his character. And I feel like this one moment just completely overshadows everything his character was before and after.
Honestly, Gohan's character during the Cell games is honestly so interesting. Like, this is the moment where Gohan's actual personality itself starts actually becoming the forefront of his character and the forefront of the story. Like, it actually starts acknowledging who Gohan's character is. There's, kind of like a character study of him, and it's really interesting. And I feel like everyone gets so caught up with the whole, but look at how he killed the Cell Juniors, where it's like, I personally find the stuff before he turns Super Saiyan 2 way more interesting than the stuff that happens after he turns Super Saiyan 2. It is something that honestly people kind of criticize as well. Some people actually say that this was sort of out of character for him. Probably the most significant moment that happens to Gohan's character, the thing that really defines his character, is where Cell is he got a good hit on Gohan, and Gohan survives, and he walks to Cell, and he tells Cell, let's just not do this. This fight is meaningless.
Yeah. Yeah, Gohan really does, he does try to reason with Cell. It's just like, let's not do this. It doesn't have to be this way. We don't have to, have this fight to the death. And Cell pushes it. Cell is the one that pushes Gohan to those limits. Makes Gohan be a killer. Like, Gohan doesn't have a say in that. It's not like, Gohan is, at his core, some sort of malicious, violent, battle-hungry monster. No, it's just, he was kind of pushed into that situation by Cell.
I've seen some people complain that this is basically out of character, in that Gohan, before, he'd never had any indication that if he was in a fight to the death, he wouldn't actually want to do it. And I mean, I kind of, on the one hand, I sort of understand why people would say this is almost like an inconsistency, in that no, Gohan never tried to tell Frieza to stop fighting, or to tell the Ginyu Force to stop fighting, because he thought that those fights were meaningless. Although I think it is a different situation, mostly just because the fact, the Cell games is different to Frieza and the Ginyu Force in that it's basically a tournament, and I think the fact is, it's also interestingly that, there's a way out. They don't need to keep doing it. And when Goku surrenders to Cell, Cell lets him do that. Cell doesn't say, no, you can't give up. You're going to have to keep fighting until you die. That's how it works. So it's I can sort of understand, the reasoning for Gohan to say that.
Yeah, I definitely agree there, because, it is a completely different scenario. The Ginyu Force was there to kill them. There was no there was no good reasoning there. They were there, sent there to kill them. Frieza is a malicious monster that wants immortality so he can take over the entire universe under his evil reign. There's no reasoning with him either. And then you have Cell, who is just this guy who's just I want to see how strong I am, and I'm going to force all you guys to fight me, or else I'm just going to kill you because I'm bored. And Gohan doesn't view this as this isn't a life or death situation. It's not a life or death situation. It's, or at least it doesn't have to be. Cell is making it a life or death situation because he wants to see the full extent of Gohan's power, even though Gohan really isn't interested in, having this fight and killing someone else and doing any of this. And, it isn't until he gets that push, when 16 has, tells him, to just let go and then 16 just gets his head crushed in front of him. He was completely defenseless. There was nothing he could do to harm Cell. And Cell, just as a complete malicious act to stick it to Gohan, just crushes 16's head right in front of him. And then that just breaks the man, or breaks the boy.
What I really like about, the Cell games and Gohan's Super Saiyan 2 transformation is, it kind of happens from sort of character development. The whole point is, 16's final words, it's it's not just 16's, the fact that he died, that is so important. It's also, the thing that 16 basically tells Gohan is, it's not just, Gohan let go, but he also basically says, Gohan, there is no shame in fighting. If you use your power, if you fight Cell, that's not a sign of weakness, that you weren't able to, negotiate to him. Sometimes there are moments where you can't end things with just talking to people, so you have to stand up and fight, and you have to use that power.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
And yeah, at that point, then he goes Super Saiyan 2, becomes literally the most powerful character in the entire show, at least at that given moment, stronger than Goku and stronger than Cell. And then basically the power goes to his head.
Yeah, like, it's kind of a weird moment, because, like, this is where I would say is, like, a little bit of a confliction with Gohan's character, in that he just one-shot kills all of the Cell Juniors. Outright.
I guess by definition it is sort of an inconsistency in that, like, Gohan's hidden power was never really stated to, like, actually change his personality, make him turn sadistic and violent. I think if there's any sort of justification, it's more like sort of what happens when Goku initially does turn Super Saiyan. This idea that you have this so much power that it just kind of goes to your head and you stop being yourself. Like that's the thing. When Gohan is literally cutting the Cell Juniors into graphic little pieces in the manga, like, on the one hand it's cool and badass, but the other hand it's like, holy shit, what the hell happened to him? That's not Gohan. Gohan would never do that. Someone needs to snap him out of that ASAP.
Yeah. I think so that we need to also keep in mind with that, because that's why I said it's kind of an added character moment, but, like, you know, whenever you put it to the context of he just had this huge power-up, this whole new transformation, that was triggered by anger, because we've always seen, like, Gohan completely loses control in fits of rage, and he's kind of still in that fit of rage. Like, you know, he's very stoic about it, but he has just, you know, become this uncontrollable murder machine in these moments. You know, he just wipes out the Cell Juniors, then he takes it to Cell, and it really isn't until, like, you know, Cell goes to self-destruct, like, that is kind of, like, where his character kind of snaps out of this I'm gonna kill you mode, and it's just like, oh no, I fucked up.
Especially when Goku dies. I think that's the really big moment. He's suddenly like, oh my god, my power not only went to my head, but also meant that my dad is dead now because of me. Like, literally because of me. Like, he gets so beaten up about it that when Cell comes back and then he gets his arm injured, Gohan basically, like, thinks about giving up.
Yeah, like, Gohan feels like a complete and utter failure in this moment. Like, you know, his father has died, Trunks has died, Vegeta's injured, and really it's because, like, he feels like he didn't use his power properly, that he was kind of showboating and just kind of wagging his, you know, his superiority over Cell instead of just finishing him off or, you know, anything else. You know, and, like, he's really paying for it in that moment.
But, of course, then in the end, like, you know, obviously people complain, I know you've also complained, like, the idea that, you know, Gohan still basically needs his father's help. Pretty much, like the idea is just sort of like, you know, he still has the power to beat Cell, he just has to kind of, you know, sort of believe in himself. Kind of a very cliched line there, but it's essentially what it is, and I think it's actually what Goku says. Like, the idea that, you know, he can still win, he's just getting down on himself and thinking that he's worthless because he screwed up once, but don't worry, he still has all that power and he still can win. And for me, it's like what Gohan's character is like, you know, he can be really, really powerful, but as long as he basically has, like, a support system, like, as long as there are people there just, like, showing him what to do and how to do it, because he can't really figure it out on his own, partially because he's a kid, and maybe also because of his personality. So it's like, you know, he needs someone like Goku to constantly show him, listen, Gohan, you can be strong, this is how to do it.
I have a problem with the Goku cheerleading him on thing, but only because of how it goes from after that, where Goku decides to stay dead, that, like, he's putting the world in Gohan's hands, and Gohan is being built up now as the new main character, and then Toriyama completely backpedals on this. And, like, the mere fact that Toriyama backpedals on that, and then the mere fact that, like, you know, he's being built up as the next big character, even though, like, he wasn't actually able to defeat the big bad on his own. He still needed his father. His father still needed to be an active agent within the story to help and his son get the win on the big bad guy for this. Like, that's kind of my problem.
I guess the implication is that now Gohan has gotten Goku's help. He can kind of stand on his own 2 feet. Like, now from this point on, he will be independent. He will kind of grow up, even though he's only about, like, 10 years old.
Yeah.
But it is still kind of unusual that this was like the very specific moment where they decide Gohan's going to be the main character now, basically because he got Super Saiyan 2, and that's about it.
Yeah, that's really the only reason that like he becomes the main character, is because he has a new transformation that no one else has. He's now the biggest, baddest dude on the block. And the thing is, though, like you're talking about, like Gohan needs that motivational speech to like push him and give himself the confidence, but he kind of already had that motivational speech from 16, like earlier in that same fight. So, I mean, like, he needs 2 motivational speeches. One to get him up to Super Saiyan 2, and then he needs the other motivational speech to get him to even beat the big bad guy. So it's just like, now he has become, like, he's supposed to be, I guess, our hero, or at least that's what Toriyama's idea was, but he's a hero that constantly needs to be motivated and has no confidence to actually, do what needs to be done and to save the world and to, like, tap into his power when he needs to. And this is probably why Toriyama felt he wasn't a good choice for a main character.
So I think that is partly sort of the reason, and there are other sort of reasons. I think, honestly, during the actual Buu arc itself, you can kind of sort of see things where it would be an issue. Like, okay, we might as well just stop beating around the bush. Let's talk about, like, early Buu arc Gohan and Great Saiyaman and all that stuff.
Okay, if we're going to talk about the Great Saiyaman, I have to say one thing. Great Saiyaman is my favorite. Like, if we're going to start compartmentalizing Gohan into, like, different stages of his development, Great Saiyaman is my favorite part of Gohan's character. Because that is the point in where Gohan, once again, it's that whole power and responsibility, like the whole Peter Parker syndrome. Like, he has the power, and he's taking the responsibility, and he is the only goddamn character with this kind of power in this franchise that actually puts on a superhero suit and just takes care of the common everyday crimes to protect the people and just do, like, the common good. Like, it's like, he stops bank robbers and killers and all this stuff. Like, they're just the random street level bad guys who are hurting people. He is stepping in and being an active agent to stop, and I love that about his character so damn much, that he is the only person in this whole fucking franchise that goes, yeah, I have the power, I'm gonna go be a superhero. And he does it, and it's awesome. I love it.
Not to mention, like, the thing that I just absolutely love about this section of Gohan is, a comment, like a very fair criticism of his character is that, yes, it was often very passive. He'd often kind of just sort of do things that the other characters wanted him to do without really thinking about it himself. But you can't say that for, like, Great Saiyaman Gohan, because he becomes, like, a fully active character. He is going around and doing things of his own free will without any parents telling him he needs to do this thing and he needs to be this thing. He's going around in high school, but at the same time, it's like, he kind of likes high school, but then he's still willing to just, like, ditch it to go around and do superhero stuff. And then, it's like, he wants to be a superhero in the first place, and he goes to Bulma and he asks for help with this whole disguise and things. Like, this is all his own idea. And he loves it, and there's just so much energy to, like, everything he does in that arc. He's just, like he's just so happy.
Yeah,
like,
it is just, like, the best Gohan's ever been. Like, it really feels like he's finally coming to being his own character. He's not being bossed around. He isn't feeling guilty and having to, like, take responsibility like he does in, like, the Frieza arc. He isn't, being forced to train like he does in the Saiyan arc or in the Cell Games arc. Well, he isn't forced to train the Cell Games arc, but, like, Goku is pulling all of his strings to get him to where he was by the end of the Cell Games arc. Like, here, he's just doing his own thing. He's going, there are bad people. Like, I mean, they're not, like, world-shattering things, but there are still bad people out here doing bad things and hurting good people. And he just takes it upon himself to put a stop to that, to just do good. And it's a great moment for him. And he does it in, like, the most Gohan fashion ever, because when you get right down to it, as cool as people want to pretend Gohan is, Gohan's a dork. He is such a dork. And it totally makes sense that, his entire persona would be kind of this riff on, like, the Super Sentai thing where, he would strike ridiculous poses and wear this outlandish outfit. And he just completely absorbs himself in being the Great Saiyaman, and just every part of his character in that stretch of episodes is just my favorite thing about Gohan. To the point where every time I see him in the Great Saiyaman outfit in Super, I'm just like, yes, he's still being the Great Saiyaman. I hope he's still being the Great Saiyaman. But yeah, I always get so excited when I see that suit.
Well, on the other hand, I think the thing that a lot of people... Well, I mean, the Great Saiyaman is one thing, but, a lot of people obviously were very kind of shocked at this revelation of this... I'm not going to say it's a change to his character, but, this idea that Gohan is not this, well, first of all, it's not this natural-born badass, whatever a natural-born badass is supposed to be.
Oh, yeah, because Great Saiyaman ruined Gohan. Gohan was so cool until Great Saiyaman happened.
It's on the one hand, I understand that people are upset that Toriyama kind of treated it a bit like a joke, not completely seriously, but on the other hand, I mean, it's obviously everything is goofy, but when you think about Gohan's character, the idea he's never really had an opportunity to do something like this before, and he's just having so much fun with it. You just can't, there is just so much enthusiasm to it, you just can't help but get swept up in it.
Yeah, I don't know how people could ever hate the Great Saiyaman. I mean, you never see Gohan that happy in the franchise up until that point.
It is the first time in the series he is legitimately happy. He is doing something he really, really wants to do. Not because he's forced to do it, not because he feels a sense of personal responsibility, because he wants to do it. But on the other hand, it also introduces basically what kind of becomes Gohan's fatal flaw, essentially, and that is that he doesn't train.
Yeah, that is probably I guess probably more than Great Saiyaman is what pisses off the Gohan fans a lot, is that you find out that he hasn't been training, which honestly, it makes sense for his character to not be training. I mean, it's the 7 years of peace. He's had no reason to really, he's had nothing to fight, so why would he be training and worrying about that? He defeated Cell, that's it, there's nothing else to worry about, in theory. And so, yeah, he kind of just coasts by and takes it easy. He wraps himself in his studies because, let's be real here, that's what he really is the most passionate about, is his education.
And it's I don't know if this was on the one hand part of his character, but also somewhat intentional in a way, so that he is not going to be in control when all of the bad stuff starts happening, and he has to kind of, relearn that, come back, inverted commas, go off screen, train a bit, and then come back when he's all fully prepared and knows what to do, and finally has sort of figured stuff out about himself, basically what Goku does in a lot of the series, where he doesn't know Raditz. He doesn't know Raditz is going to be so powerful. So he's he hasn't really slacked off, but he's not prepared. So he gets his ass kicked. So he goes off somewhere off screen, and then he comes back later on triumphantly, strong enough to beat the bad guy.
That definitely does kind of feel like the setup, but then it ends up not being what happens. He sort of trains, but not really, and I guess we're gonna... Now that we've talked about my favorite, point in Gohan's development, I guess we're gonna talk about my personal least favorite point in Gohan's development.
Oh, Ultimate Gohan. How did Toriyama drop a character so badly?
Okay, now let me just say that, I feel like you and I are in a minority here, because I feel like a lot of people love Ultimate Gohan.
We need to actually explain it, you mean? Why
because...
Why you don't like it? Because no one else agrees?
Yeah, I guess we should really get into why we don't like Ultimate Gohan at all. Because I think we're on kind of the same page here.
He's just boring.
Yeah.
He is incredibly boring.
Yeah, he is stoic for no reason. He makes the exact same mistakes that he does in the Cell games, except this time he doesn't have the excuse of being in this new transformation that was triggered by anger and this fit of rage. He doesn't have the inexperience of being a child. He's a grown-ass man doing the exact same bullshit he did when he was 10 years old.
I mean, I don't know how much of the Gohan being overconfident is was basically a side effect of Toriyama. I personally feel it wasn't until Gohan was actually beating up on Boo that Toriyama realized he needed to change the main character.
Yeah, maybe. It's just because Gohan just feels... Because if you want to talk about an out-of-character moment for Gohan, it's the Boo fight. And he's doing it with this transformation that at first off, he just did not earn at all. He swung around a sword for a couple episodes, he breaks the sword, and then what? He just sits down while this old guy just unlocks his potential for 48 hours. And then, oh, look at that, you're now the most powerful guy again. You haven't done jack shit to earn this. You're just getting handed this free power-up that has made you the new badass guy again. You haven't had to work for it. You didn't have to go through any trauma or training or anything, really. You're just now the top guy again.
Or even any sort of character development. It is just handed to him. And, well, you could have made that work if he had to go through kind of character development while he was beating up on Majin Buu. Maybe Buu could have gotten stronger, then suddenly his ultimate power is oh, this isn't actually going to be all or end all. I have to, work out how to fight on my own, something like that. That could have happened.
But no, because he absorbs Gotenks and then beats the shit out of Gohan. And it's just a complete reversal, and then Gohan's like, oh no, I'm losing. I'm getting my ass kicked. Damn my hubris.
And the other thing I personally don't like about Gohan, Ultimate Gohan, I think it's also why I feel like Toriyama really realized Gohan didn't work as a main character. It's just that, he basically loses all of the unique traits that made him interesting and different. Ultimate Gohan is basically... You'd say he's basically Goku, although I'd say not really Goku. He's basically Vegeta. Yes,
thank you, because I was about to say, he's definitely more Vegeta in this moment than he is... if he's anything like Goku, he's like Goku when he first became a Super Saiyan. The stoic warrior, there to do the deed, and here it's just, God, it doesn't work for Gohan, and it's such a... go ahead and continue what you're going to say. It's a shit moment for him.
If this was Toriyama's attempt of making Gohan cool again and strong enough to fight the main bad guy, and this was supposed to be the end, their final power-up, no wonder he decided to change his mind and realize he wasn't suited for the main character, because basically the only way he made Gohan strong enough and made him the main character was by basically removing everything that made him unique and different from Goku. And if that's the case, if Toriyama's only way of making Gohan the main character is by stripping him of everything that makes him different to Goku, then you might as well just use Goku. He can do the exact same things and also has the benefit of loving fighting so much that he can cause actual conflicts in the plot. I feel like that was really why Toriyama decided to give up on Gohan's main character, because if that's what you think Gohan should be as the protagonist, there's no reason as to why you'd use Gohan.
The Buu arc is such a mess, and I feel like Gohan is the biggest victim in this entire damn arc. Because the worst part of the Majin Buu arc for me is the Super Buu stuff. Because as soon as he absorbs, as soon as Gray Buu absorbs Pink Buu, he becomes Super Buu. As soon as he becomes that form, he officially just becomes the most boring villain ever. He's Cell without the interesting backstory. Super Buu is just the most bland, milquetoast fucking generic villain you can have, and then they make Gohan the most milquetoast bland shonen hero protagonist you could ever fucking have. At least Gotenks had a person. As much as I don't like Gotenks as a character, at least he was, this kind of deconstruction and criticism of Toriyama's own writing tropes. What the hell is Gohan other than just those exact friggin' writing tropes that he was mocking, a few episodes prior?
And, it wouldn't even be so bad if it wasn't Gohan, this character who, honestly, you don't expect to be like that. I think one of the real big nailing points in the coffin for me is, when he first shows up against Majin Buu, and Piccolo basically comments on, obviously, your power feels a bit different, but it's not just that, it's your gentleness has kind of disappeared. It's like you're a completely different person. I'm like, but I liked that about Gohan. Why would you get rid of that?
Bill, because he needs to be the badass protagonist guy, or something. I don't know, Toriyama's kind of a hack and didn't really think this through very well.
And that was about the point where, basically, one of the few pieces of information we find out is that around that's the point where Gohan's, like, not even very popular anymore, and I do wonder how much that has to do with, how Ultimate Gohan was, and maybe not, I'm not sure, maybe, basically, Gohan basically lost a lot of popularity there, and then the end of the series happened, and we're still living with the aftermaths of that.
Yeah, it's just, Toriyama just did not know what to do with Gohan. He gave him a power-up that he didn't earn. He made him this kind of stoic, super badass for no reason. Ultimate Gohan strips him of his development, it strips him of his personality, all the things that makes Gohan special as a fucking character, Ultimate Gohan just completely ruins.
It even strips him of his own unique clothing. He just wears the carbon copy of what Goku wears.
Right? It's not like he could have gone into battle with his Kai outfit that he was wearing, or that he couldn't have gone into battle with his great Saiyaman outfit. He couldn't have gone into any battle with any, or even Piccolo's outfit. No, he goes to his father's outfit because oh look, he's the main hero now, so he has to be wearing the main hero's garb. Because now he actually has become a carbon copy of his father, but he really isn't because he's still not a fighting freak. He's not obsessed with it. But I guess he kind of is now because he has to be because the plot necessitates him to be. I think we can disagree, though. Ultimate Gohan was terrible. It was the lowest point of his character. And then Toriyama just kind of backpedals on it and just, we never see that aspect of Gohan again. We just kind of see Gohan grows up to be a scholar after the time jump.
And there's nothing wrong with that, honestly. Gohan in the epilogue, the epilogue's so kind of short and so little of it is focused on Gohan. I think it's very fair. The idea is just, the series is over, there's peace now, so Gohan can actually finally stop fighting and live with his wife and his daughter. He has a family, he can be a scholar, he has nerdy glasses. It's fair. It is a clear, just visual indication the story is over. And Gohan's character is also over because there's no more threats to the world. Yeah,
it's definitely, and like I said, Ultimate Gohan is what I hate. Post time jump Gohan, I'm totally fine with because it does feel like a nice natural closure point for Gohan's character. His character's arc that's it. It's come full circle. The very first things he says to Bulma and the gang is, "I want to be a scholar." Dragon Ball ends with him, being a scholar. He has fulfilled his life's goal, he has a wife, he has a child, and, that's it. He is finally doing what he's always wanted to, what his original stated goal was at the very, very beginning of the series. And it definitely is a nice, comfortable closure point if you just kind of ignore the bullshit that was Ultimate Gohan.
The fact is, even the series itself often seems to act like it didn't exist after that point. GT.
Yeah, because, we have GT, and pretty much Gohan's still stationary. That's the thing, because usually by this point, we would talk about, this is how this character was treated in GT, this is how this character was treated in Super, but honestly, Gohan's just stationary at this point. He's had his development.
He's just another Saiyan.
Yeah.
He's completely interchangeable with Goten and Trunks and, Bra and even Pan. There is nothing about him that stands out. Even though he is Pan's father, which I think is probably one of the biggest missed opportunities, I think. He's Pan's father, and yet he doesn't get, any special treatment at all. It's just Pan's relationship to Goku, not to her mom and dad.
Yeah, I would say, the only time, their relationship is even really touched on is when they're on New Planet Plant, and they're kind of infected by Baby, and Pan is just like, "Mom, Dad, why are you doing this? Please, it's me, Pan, I'm your daughter." And that's kind of a really sad moment because her parents have turned against her, and you kind of feel that moment.
Trying to kill her.
Yeah, her parents are they're on Baby's side and they're out for blood against their own child, and that's kind of a dark, fucked up moment. But that has nothing to do with their development or anything. That was just they were pawns in Baby's game. They were not really themselves. Gohan gets to have a couple of fights. He gets to he gets to fight, Baby Goten, and he gets to fight, he gets to fight Rild, during the Super 17 arc, and then, he helps out a little bit near the end. Because, everyone has that great moment in the finale where, it's like, quick, you get, go save, our mother and, Videl and all of them, and, the Saiyans go back for, one last battle to hold down Yi Jing long enough for their family to escape. But, that's, everyone's collective, last hurrah moment.
Yeah, Gohan there's nothing wrong with his character, it's just completely interchangeable with every other character. There's nothing unique to him.
So yeah, GT, I don't want to say his character is treated poorly, it's just, that they just didn't do much with him. His character arc was done. Yeah, they could have explored him a bit better, but, his character really had come full circle by that point. Toriyama had really put the capstone on it, and really, yeah, like you said, he's just become an interchangeable sign at that point. So I guess now we talk about Super. Gabby.
Yep.
So go ahead, Gabby. What do you think of Gohan and Super?
I mean, Gohan and Super is just... I used to say Gohan and Super is just a giant question mark. In that...
Yeah.
Basically everything about him, it always felt like... The one thing that made it different to GT is that, it always felt like someone wanted to do something with him, but they couldn't, or they didn't have time, or it was only something that was going to be foreshadowing later on. There's one thing I really do enjoy about Gohan's character in Super, and that is that they gave it somewhere to go, and that is that having him really, really explore him and his relationship to his family. The one thing that Super starts off with, basically, the first arc has him, first of all, him marrying Videl, and also having him reveal that Pan is being born, and he's going to be a father. And considering that's kind of how Super starts, it's kind of a sort of overlying theme towards everything that Gohan does. Battle of Gods arc, he's just always out there being I need to protect my wife and my unborn child. Resurrection F as well. That's kind of his, even though he hasn't been training, this is really Super's thing. When he's fighting Shisami, he has this nice speech about he just, his daughter was just born and he wants his daughter to live in peace. And so it's really inconvenient when you guys keep showing up and threatening the world. And so it's basically he's saying that's his motivation. He actually has a motivation to fight. I guess it's a bit different to normally where he'd just be completely selfless and fight for no reason other than he thinks it's the right thing to do. But, it's also he's also got this thing. He's got his family. He's got his wife and his daughter. Like the end of Resurrection F arc, when the Earth gets restored and he immediately goes to Videl and Pan and hugs them. He's this time I'm going to protect you. And he tells Piccolo he wants to start training again. It was honestly a really nice moment. It was honestly a really nice moment for Gohan's character. And I thought it was going to lead somewhere. It didn't, because next arc, he sits it off screen because he's at a conference. Arc after that, Trunks just doesn't tell him about the plot because he just wants him to be happy.
Oh my god. Jesus Christ. Oh man. That pissed me off so much. I am perfectly fine with Gohan not being an active agent in these stories. He could show up to help, but him not having the big hero moments or being a really integral part of the narrative, I have no problem with that. I don't mind him being the weaker guy who's just, kind of trying to pull his own weight. I'm fine with that. What I hate, though, is just Gohan and Trunks kind of have a connection, and they spend an entire episode, where Gohan and Trunks talk, and Trunks just completely cuts him out of the narrative. Gohan finds out 2/3 of the way into the story that there's a fucking story going on, and you see him just oh, nobody told me. And he doesn't seem that upset about it. He just kind of deals with it. And it's just weird.
A little bit upset, although I don't know if that was just I don't know if that was just me looking into it. He seemed a bit upset about it, so I don't know if this was intentional. Honestly, what it did feel like is that just everything to do with Super just didn't include Gohan because Toriyama just didn't really want to include Gohan. And everything that's been about him has basically just been Toei wanting to do things with Gohan. Actually, like, realizing that there are people who have basically been kind of crossing their fingers for a Gohan comeback, inverted commas.
Yeah, and it just doesn't feel like it's going to happen. Like, I mean, like, we just got information, on the, the Universal Survival arc, and we know Gohan's gonna be a part of it. That's all we really know, but it's just like, I can't even bring myself to care, because I doubt they're gonna do anything interesting with him. Like, they're gonna probably say, like, he's trained. I doubt he's gonna get a god form, Maybe he'll have his ultimate form again, but Jesus Christ, I just... The weird mishandling of his character in Super is just... It's annoying, because, like, either make him a part of the story or don't. Don't pretend like he's going to be, and then yank him out. Don't act like he's going to be an active agent, and then have him not be. Just leave him out or put him in. Don't do this halfway bullshit where you just can't keep kind of being inconsistent with where his character is going. Is he training? Is he not training? Is he going to be a fighter? Is he not going to be a fighter? Is he going to find some sort of happy medium? I don't know, because you won't explore his character in this fucking show.
It's like, I feel like I don't know. That's the thing. It's like, obviously Super isn't over, and I do, maybe they will actually explore his character in more than just this weird teasing that they keep doing. Like, that would be fun. I hope that happens. Mostly just because, I mean, even if I wasn't to wanted Gohan to be important, also the fact is, like, yeah, you've been building this up a lot of the time. Like, you can't get any more blatant of wanting Gohan to be important than having Gohan go up to Piccolo and say, I'm going to start training again because I want to be strong enough to protect the people I care about. Like, that you can't really read into that in any other way of just that he wants to be important for the rest of the series. So it's weird that he's not important. I actually enjoy Gohan's characterization in Super. The only problem with Super is how the wider plot has basically been treating him, like kind of bringing him in things and then shoving him out of things with no real explanation. But honestly, I actually enjoy his character. I enjoy his character enough that if they did more with him, I might actually legitimately enjoy it. They could also screw it up. I don't know, but there is a foundation there, so it could be good. I am hoping.
Yeah, honestly, like, my favorite episode of Gohan so far is just the Trunks arc episode, where it's just, Trunks really comes to that realization that Gohan's really happy and doesn't really need any of this fighter bullshit in his life, and that he's kind of, found what he was always wanting and looking for. And I thought that was a really nice moment. And now it feels like they're backpedaling on it and sending these weird mixed messages about his character. Like, Gohan in his slice of life moments, I love. Super does slice of life really goddamn well. It's like the only thing Super does really goddamn well.
It's probably why I still actually enjoy Gohan's character. I don't think they dropped the ball in his characterization or anything. Like, honestly, it still kind of feels consistent. Like, especially with the expectation that, like, in Resurrection F arc, they had implied that Gohan still wanted to, like, he wanted to help, also, like, he wanted to be in the tournament. In fact, he wanted to be so much that, like, the only way you could legitimately say that he wouldn't be involved in the Trunks arc is just having him not find out about the Trunks arc. Because if he found out, he probably would have immediately said, oh, I'm going to help you as well.
Yeah. I mean, obviously that was done to keep him out of the story, but it's just like, why would you keep him out of the story?
It's weird. Like, I don't think his character is ruined in Super, honestly. His character in Super is really interesting, just no one wants to do anything with him.
Yeah, I'm not going to say his character's ruined. It's just, like, the fact that they keep teasing, and it's just like, well, they keep doing this weird middle ground stuff with him. It's just like, we're over 70 episodes in. Yeah, it's just like, make up your damn mind. It's just like, are you going to have him be important, or are you going to have him just sit on the sidelines with, Yamcha and Kami Sennin and all of them? Because if that's where you want to take his character, I'm fine with that, but just quit fucking teasing like you're going to do something bigger and grander with him if you're never going to go that route.
They never really started teasing things until, honestly, not until Dragon Ball Super, because Battle of Gods and Resurrection F, Resurrection F, he was kind of important. He was kind of there as just another fighter, but there was nothing really important, like, to do with his own character development. It wasn't until Super that brought back all these cans of worms about, like, the idea of Gohan coming back, inverted commas, and, like, kind of making up for those times where he wasn't training and wasn't strong enough, inverted commas. So We'll
Yeah.
see. I guess we'll see if that leads to something. If it does, cool. I hope it's implemented well. If it doesn't, well, I guess it'll just be a bit of a waste of time. But at the very least, his character's not ruined. It's a question mark. It is a giant question mark moving from one area to the other, just at the whims of the writer. That's the thing about his character. It's still, even nowadays, like Toei and like everyone in Super also seems to be kind of also pushing it. The idea is like people like different aspects of his personality and his character, and sometimes I feel like they're in conflict with each other. In the same way Gohan is in conflict between being a scholar and being a fighter. It's like, you know, there are people who want to see Gohan as some badass fighter. There are people who don't necessarily care and think Gohan's character arc is over. There are people who think Gohan should have never been important in the first place and is just a waste. Like, his character just has a lot of discussion to him. I think in a way that, like, Goku and Vegeta don't, because their characters have very defined roles. Gohan's role has changed depending on who is writing him and what they feel like at the time.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, he's definitely kind of been in flux. Because, I mean, even, like, when Toriyama's writing him, you know, because, I mean, like, you know, his role in the series is kind of, you know, like, you know, he was kind of like the wild card in the Saiyan arc. In the Frieza arc, he's just kind of, you know, he's there, but he doesn't really contribute much. Then, you know, the Artificial Human arc, he was the big surprise hero of that arc. And then, like, the Buu arc, he's kind of built up as, like, he's going to be the hero, but then he has completely dropped that plot line because I guess Toriyama didn't know what the hell he was doing. And honestly, and just, you know, past that, though, he's just kind of been there for GT and Super. You know, he hasn't had much to do. Like, he has, like, nice little character moments, like, little bits of personality here and there, but as far as just, like, his active agency within the story, he hasn't had much to do in those two shows.
Which is, I mean, is kind of, honestly, kind of surprising. Like, the fact is, back in 1993, at least according to Japanese boys, Gohan was the most popular character in the entire series. Whether that was just because of the Super Saiyan 2 stuff, or it was because people legitimately, you know, the young boys projected onto his character, they thought he was very relatable, stuff like that.
Yeah, see, I think that's what it is. I think it's just like, you know, they projected onto his character, he was the eye level for the audience, and then, as soon as he grew up, he was no longer that eye level for the audience. Which is why Goten exists, because we needed a new eye level character for the audience. And nobody gave a shit about Goten ever.
I think that's one of the big things. The idea, I think one of the reasons why people hate the Great Saiyaman so much. Like, Gohan grew up and he didn't become you. He became his own character, who has different flaws and different motivations that might not be the one that literally every boy in existence has when they're 16. So I think that is part of the reason as to why Gohan becomes so polarizing later on in the series. He's not just the kid that everyone projected onto. He is his own character. I think he shines when he is his own character especially. But yes, obviously that's not what everyone thinks, and that might not necessarily be what sells.
Yeah, because I think that the difference between, like, a lot of that audience and us is that we're not little kids. You know, we're not, like, you know, we're not projecting ourselves onto Gohan. We're viewing Gohan as his own character, following his development and seeing how it blossomed into the character he became. You know, and it all makes sense contextually, like, you know, when you look at where he started, where he's been, where he went, like, you know, him becoming the Great Saiyaman and like, you know, like, how he grew up when he, like, in his high school years. That totally makes sense for his character, but, you know, I guess, you know, like you said, like, if you're a kid, you know, that's not how you pictured yourself, being this goofball gag character in a green and black suit with a helmet and red cape, striking ridiculous poses.
I mean, I'd be down for that, but
I would be too. I thought that, like, I've always thought Gohan as the Great Saiyaman was the coolest thing ever. he instantly became my favorite character. He was so great. But yeah, I think, you know, Gohan, like you're saying, he's a character with a lot to talk about, and I'm sure we could just keep doing that. Like, I mean, you could write, like, so many essays on Gohan's character and just the different interpretation, right? I've seen your blog, yeah. So I mean, like, yeah, you could just write so many papers on just the different interpretations of Gohan's character and why he's been interpreted the way he has. But it's just, you know, he's just such a fascinating character to always talk about and to really get into the root of, like, what his character was supposed to be as opposed to what fans wanted him to be. What was the actual authorial intent? Was there actually authorial intent when writing his character? Did Toriyama even really know what he was doing with Gohan when he was writing him? You know, there's so much discussion there, but I think we've really run our course for this video. We should probably wrap it up.
So obviously, once again, if you guys have actually watched this entire thing, props to you. I don't know how you have the patience to put up with us for so long.
Because we're awesome, Gabby, obviously. Don't you listen to us? I know I listen to us. I think we're pretty awesome. But no, seriously though, like, if you guys made it this far, thank you. Also, if you have any characters that you'd like to see us talk about in the future, let us know in the comments. You know, we'll maybe pick one of those, and I guess the next video that we do will be on my channel, and then the one after that will be on hers, and we'll just keep flip-flopping until we run out of interesting characters to talk about.
Obviously, yeah, thank you everyone who was watching, obviously listening to this, watching this, whatever. I've actually talked about Gohan for like over an hour, so I feel like I have accomplished something, and I'm not going to say this video was like definitive because it's mostly just us rambling, but you know, I feel like we did get to at least what we thought about what Gohan's character is and stuff, and why it is the way it is, and whether it's good or not. Everyone, thanks for watching and listening, and I guess I'll see you guys whenever. So this is Gabby signing out, and goodbye, guys.